Hey there guys, John Campea, and thank you for visiting my movie vlog. Now, for the fans of the James Bond franchise, one of the things that they have been dreaming about, even though there have been some great success lately with some great directors, one of the things a lot of James Bond fans have always salivated over was the idea of maybe Christopher Nolan someday doing a James Bond film. Now, there's been a little bit of cat and mouse back and forth over the years about some comments that Christopher Nolan has made. However, in a recent interview, Christopher Nolan stated that he's definitely interested. Here's what Nolan had to say directly. A Bond movie? Definitely. I've spoken with producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson over the years. I deeply love the character, and I'm always excited to see what they do with it. Maybe one day that would work out. You'd have to be needed, if you know what I mean. It has to need reinvention. It has to need you. And they're getting along very well. Now, there are a couple of key interesting things in these comments by Christopher Nolan. Number one, this isn't the first time that him and the producers of James Bond have gotten together and talked about it. So clearly, over the years, this is an idea that's been batted around back and forth, and maybe we're getting closer to it coming to fruition, maybe not. But I do find it interesting that this isn't a brand new conversation. This has been going on for a while. The second thing that's interesting, and this is the part that seems to be getting some people nervous about the possibility, is that Nolan is saying the character would need reinvention. I would want to come in and do some reinventing of the character. And I've read some people freaking out a little bit, going, oh, what do you mean reinvent the character? You want to make him something else? I don't think that's it at all. I mean, really think about it. When Pierce Brosnan became James Bond, that was kind of a reinvention. They reinvented Bond a little bit to really better suit Pierce Brosnan. When Daniel Craig came in to be Bond, that was a reinvention of Bond too. Just because somebody uses the word reinvention doesn't mean they're talking about making wholesale changes. I don't know, maybe Christopher Nolan wants to make James Bond a Japanese woman. One other thing I've seen a lot of people mention that could be a roadblock to a Christopher Nolan doing a James Bond film is that Christopher Nolan likes to do his own original films, and that is absolutely true. He does. He's made some of the best over the past 10, 15 years. However, let's not forget that Christopher Nolan became a household name by doing the Batman franchise, which is not a far stretch from a James Bond franchise in terms of cultural awareness and the history of the character and coming on board to do something new. And remember, he did a little bit of a reinvention with Batman too, so I think it all kind of fits. But the real question isn't, would Christopher Nolan direct a Bond film or could Christopher Nolan direct a Bond film? The answer to those questions are obviously yes. The real question is, will Christopher Nolan direct a James Bond film? We don't really know. My personal opinion at this point is that, yeah, I think it's inevitable. I think at some point, Christopher Nolan will want to come in and do one. But you never know. Christopher Nolan is a guy who likes to keep himself busy, so maybe he just never has time. The important thing here is, what do you think? Do you, taking these comments into consideration, think we'll ever actually see Christopher Nolan direct a James Bond film? Or maybe even more importantly to that, would you even want Christopher Nolan to direct a James Bond film? Not everybody would, and that's totally cool. Jump into the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. While you're here, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on social media on Facebook and on Twitter, simply @John Campea. Thanks a lot for joining me, and I'll see you next time.